I'm always trying out some new plugin, and they seem to be, there seem to be always a new one. I mean, now there seems to be like better than the other ones for some reason for certain things. This is one of those. It's a 2-rock Bloomfield drive. It's the VST by MixWave, and it's pretty good. Some great sound. There are a couple of things that I find a little bit frustrating, I think, for the sake of like hyper-realism, so to speak. But I'll leave them at the end, check out the timestamps. I will just play through the usual presets. Obviously, this is a copy of the 2-rock, these are like top-end boutique amps. If you have tried one, you know the level of quality. They're inspired by Damble, obviously, with all the switches at the top here. They might be named something else, but that's kind of the idea. And it reminds me a bit, it's like Fender sounds, some Mesa sounds, some Marshall sounds. It's very versatile. Nice reverb. There's an overdrive, which is very much like a tube screamer. That's the amp section, and the cab section is quite, stereo is quite in depth. As much as there are no effects apart from the overdrive and the reverb, you can get some really great sounds out of this plugin. The thing that I find quite useful, because it's quite, when you open it for the first time, there's a little pop-up that says that because it's a high headroom amp, it might be, it might feel quite difficult to find the right balance in terms of like input output, like gain staging, whatever you want to call it. I find it quite, and I found that to be true. And that half power switch, especially if you want to change the tubes to 6v6, I find that quite a bit more usable, so to speak. Okay, let's check out some of the presets. I find it interesting that nowadays, some of these presets are not by, big names in terms of like performers, but they're like internet personalities, so to speak, YouTubers. Like, I recognize some of the names, like John Corsey. I think these obviously Osnoy is a performer more than a YouTuber, let's call it that way. And his sounds are great. And I think the 2-rock sounds and 2-rock presets are the best ones, and as they should be, because they built the amp. So let's start from these ones. I managed to superglue my middle finger, so apologies, my playing today is a bit... quite dark. I like the cab setup. Is quite, you can get some really realistic sounds in terms of like the feeling the cab in a space, so to speak. these are the presets from To Rock, which I think there are probably more. Those I prefer. Yeah, we definitely help to have the presets volume match, that I would say, because that would give you a bit more of an idea of the, when you're scrolling through presets. Because I think a lot of people do that. Like, if you want a good sound, but you're not an experienced, let's call it sound designer, or experienced in terms of like making sounds with amps and guitars. A lot of producers just scroll through presets, and these presets are all over the place in terms of volume gains. So it would be great to have them a bit more volume matched, so to speak. I mean, it's a detail, a very small detail. And another thing that I found, I don't know if this is possible, but again, the reverb, it'd be great to have like a dwell control. As much as the reverb, in the two rocks that I've tried, yeah, it's quite lush, full, long, so to speak. It would be great to have a dwell. Sometimes the reverb is too much, so to speak. Another little thing that I found is that, for the sake of hyperrealism, that this is very, very small things, but like in terms of the usability of the product, the knobs, they're very difficult to read because that reflection. Sometimes if the volume, if that line goes into the reflection, it kind of becomes impossible to read. And as I said, that half power thing, or being able to change to 636, at least for my taste, it makes it a bit more controlled, so to speak, controllable, so to speak, in terms of like otherwise it's quite spiky, so to speak. But these are these type of amps. And again, it doesn't take the fact that there are some really beautiful sound in this plugin, so to speak. And it's, as far as the two rock philosophy, the I don't own one at the moment, but the amps that I've tried, the many two rocks that I've tried, is very, is within the type of sound, so to speak. These are, it's very faithful to that sound. So, well, if you found any value in this video, as always, feel free to like, subscribe, the usual stuff, share it, put it on social media, share it with a friend. It's all stuff that helps the channel to grow. So it's very much appreciated. Check out the links in the description if you want to support the channel in any way. There are many educational eBooks and backing tracks and other things that you can get for a donation, so to speak, on my website. So all the links are in the description, as always. Right, take care. Bye-bye.